pitch. Swung on and missed a perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter.
Mikey Kershaw pitches a no-hitter.
It is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner. It's over. Muncy, a walk-off home run. This is way back. Walk 'em off. Chris Taylor.
Mookie Betts fractured his hand. Yoshinobu Yamamoto's hurt his rotator cuff. What will the Dodgers do? We have a new lineup for the Dodgers. Some injury updates. The Dodgers released their City Connect uniforms, and we've got your top 5 Dodgers Who's Your Daddy moments ever. That's coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
Dodgers win.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball.
Grand slam. It's a double for Freddie. Mookie Magic.
They're going to make big signings. They're going to make impact trades. This is the most anticipated season in Dodgers history.
Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation? Doug McKain here, credential member of Dodgers Media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Now, if you haven't yet, do us a huge favor and subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel, the #1 Dodgers YouTube channel, the game, the #1 Dodgers live show on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and most importantly, comment Go Tawny down below. When you comment Go Tawny down below, you enter for a chance to win a brand new authentic road gray Shohei Ohtani number 17 jersey. Not the takedown one, the authentic one, the more expensive one, right? So definitely be sure to make sure you're subscribed, have those notifications on, and definitely do that. We're giving away a road gray jersey. We're not giving away one of the new City Connects. They should just give those away, but we'll get into those in a little bit, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And as always, let me know where you're representing Dodgers Nation from. Give me those cities down below. I see some Go Tawnies. Happy Father's Day from Tony down below. Bring all of your Dodgers takes. We have a jam-packed show to get into. What will the Dodgers do now they've lost Mookie Betts for a significant time, Yamamoto presumably for a significant time? We're going to talk about that. Some trades they could potentially make. We're going to get into the roster moves that they're going to make, a new line, just so much to get into here on this show. And as always, for this episode and every single episode of Dodgers Dugout Live is brought to you by our friends over at Bet Online. Bet Online is your #1 source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC and MMA and boxing, every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head over their online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of their over 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here. And as always, too, anytime you drop a fire take, I got producer Antonio, I got social media guru Mr. Noel in the mix. We're going to get into the producer cam, but first, if you got a fire take, you're going to see one of these. Anything spicy, anything hot takes, you're going to see that. Anytime you have a roast, anytime you see a burn, you're going to hear the finish him.
Finish him.
We got anything a little sus, a little bruh. And then for a comment of the show, you're going to see one of these. But today we're introducing our producer cam, where you got Tony Taters, Mr. Antonio in the mix, producing. He's always behind the board here. We got the producer cam. There's Antonio, Tony Taters. We'll get into him. And then check this out. A little magic. He goes right over to Noel. Shift to Noel. That's our social media guru. You can call him Noise by Noel. I call him Young Lotto. Killing the game over on Dodger Dodgers Nation Instagram, on the X, on the TikTok. So he has a very bold take on the Dodgers City Connect uniforms. I can tell we're going to get into debate about that. So stay tuned, and we're going to get into that. But first, let's do some comments. I'm going to dive into leadoff here. Bo Bichette is a real option. That's on the black. Have we ever talked about Bo Bichette on this show? I mean, maybe a couple times. Just bring up Landon Knack. That's from Dodgers Z Showtime fans. Jerry Hunter, Glass now still needs to file an APB for run support. Hey, he got his 3 runs, okay? What more do you want, okay? You're an ace like him, Tyler Glass. Now, one of the few positives over the weekend for the Dodgers, but we'll talk about Glass a little bit here. Time for San Diego in the house. Vamos Doyers, that's from Rafael Uribe. Gotani from Adolfo Martinez. Rebecca Michelle David, I'm not here to hate on Mookie. I swear, LOL. No hate for Mookie Betts. Absolutely not. Nathan Aguilar talking about Mookie. So let's dive right into it. Let's dive right into the leadoff here. There you go, introducing the leadoff screen, killing it, Antonio, with that one. But, of course, the big story in Dodgerland came yesterday when Mookie Betts was hit on the left hand by a 97.9 mile per hour Dan Altavilla fastball, and he suffered a fracture in that left hand. Now, Altavilla has already said he meant no harm. It was an accident, and you could see when it happened. Betts was writhing in pain. Betts is a tough guy. He's not someone that is going to be rolling around the ground in pain like he was, unless it was something significant, unless it was something serious. And clearly by Mookie's reaction here, this had to hurt. You don't get the meat on there. It hits right on the bone. And clearly this was something that was going to be, at the very minimum, something that was going to force him to miss some time. Now, Dave Roberts said after the game, no surgery. It's just going to be rest and let the bones heal. Now, Betts said he'll stay behind when the Dodgers go to Denver. The Dodgers are playing the Rockies, and he's going to visit Dr. Steven Shin in Los Angeles today, and they're going to go over what the next steps are for the injury. So first things first, the Dodgers just can't have nice things sometimes. Mookie Betts put this team on his back. He embraced playing the shortstop position, where in the last few weeks, he had really turned a corner. You saw him really mastering the routine plays. You saw him making the throws with more regularity, where there was no issues, and he was really starting to get the swing of things from that position after a couple months of frustration. So he was improving defensively, and it hurts. I mean, anytime you lose a player like Mookie Betts for a significant time, it's going to be a major blow to your lineup, to your team, just because of how great of a player it is. And the first thing for me, when I look at this, is, look, his MVP season is pretty much down the drain at this point. Mookie Betts was going to win the MVP in the National League. Mookie Betts was going to be the first player since Frank Robinson to win the MVP in both leagues. The year he was having, slashing 304, 405, 488 with a 159 weighted runs created plus 10 home runs. He was tied with Ohtani for a 3.4 F-WAR right at the top of the National League. And now the fact that he's going to have to miss significant time, look, this kind of opens the door for Shohei Ohtani to now win the National League MVP. And it's definitely not a positive thing, but that's just the reality. If Shohei Ohtani performs like he has for the season, and he's right at the top statistically, even without playing a position on the field or not pitching, when it comes to overall WAR, there's still a world where Shohei Ohtani as a DH also makes history and becomes the first primarily DH to win that award. And that's definitely historic in itself. So, I mean, David Ortiz, Big Papi got some votes in the past, but you haven't seen a DH win that award as a sole DH. And now this opens up the door for that. So, look, you look at the way Mookie Betts had been performing lately. He had been struggling at the plate for the last couple of weeks. He was 11 for his last 60. Last 25 games, he was hitting 235. Last 12, he was hitting 227. And this Dodgers offense overall had been sputtering, averaging 2 runs or less in 11 of their last 30 games. But still, this is Mookie Betts. He is the straw that stirs the Dodgers' drink. He is the catalyst, the spark plug, and he's so essential to this team's success. And he is going to miss significant time. He is going to miss at least 6 to 8 weeks, possibly a couple of months. And I think at the soonest you'll see him back probably at some point mid to late August, or potentially, depending on how quickly he heals, you could see him in early September. So the number one thing we have to establish here is that, yes, he is going to miss significant time. Yes, the Dodgers most likely aren't going to be as good of a team without Mookie Betts. Anytime you lose a top 5 player, that is just the reality. But this team's success is solely based on what they do in October, right? This team is still going to make it to the postseason. They have a big lead over the Padres in the NL West. Manny Machado, he's basically broken right now. They're going to have no issues winning the division. So this team is going to punch their ticket to October, to the postseason. And the only thing that matters now is you get Mookie back at some point mid-August, early September, and he has hopefully 4 to 6 weeks to find a rhythm at the plate and get himself right for the postseason. And if you want to look at one potential silver lining here, that could possibly be that Mookie gets some much needed rest. Mookie plays. Mookie posts. He does not like to sit. And what have we seen for the last couple of seasons with Mookie Betts? We've seen MVP caliber seasons, but then he falls off and starts to struggle until the end. You saw his historic August last year where he had 51 hits. There was a point in the season when he had passed Ronald Acuna Jr. as the odds-on favorite to win the National League MVP. Then in September, his numbers went down significantly, and you look at October in the postseason, he went 0 for 11 in the NLDS in the Dodgers loss to the Diamondbacks. You also look at the year he had in 2022, another MVP caliber season. He was fantastic, and then you saw how he performed in the postseason against the Padres. He ends up going 2 for 14. So the last 2 postseasons combined for Mookie Betts, he's gone a combined 2 for 25. And we know that this team, when Mookie gets on and scores and he energizes this offense, there's a really good chance that this team wins a lot of ball games. So I think that you look at a positive in this, Mookie could come back fresh and with a lot of gas in the tank for a postseason run and be able to perform on the big stage like he had in 2020 when it was a shorter season and you saw him have a lot more success in October. Last couple seasons, Mookie was clearly burned out. I talked to Mookie during spring training, and all he would keep saying is, I want to finish the season strong. I told Mookie, I asked Mookie, I said, hey, you finished with more WAR than the MVP winner in Ronald Acuna Jr., and you have to kind of focus on the positive last year, right? He's like, I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the fact that I didn't finish the season like I wanted to. So maybe if you look at this as a way of Mookie re-energizing himself, giving himself a mental break, as he said after the game, and then coming back and giving the Dodgers that postseason lift that he provides when he's at his best. It almost reminds me a couple years ago when Corey Seager, he was hit on the hand by Marlins pitcher Ross Detweiler. He missed a couple months of the season. He missed about 65 games, top of my head, I think it was 65 games. He comes back and Corey Seager went God mode again for the remainder of the season. It wasn't great in the postseason, but still he came back and he was on fire for the rest of the way. And I think that we'll probably see the same with Mookie Betts. But I think the big question now, though, is this the end of the shortstop experiment for Mookie Betts? Now, we're going to talk about that next, but first, got some sound from Mookie Betts. Mookie talked to reporters after the game about the injury and really the next steps forward.
Mookie, it's scary seeing you go down like that after being hit by a pitch. Just, did you know, kind of immediate reaction that it wasn't going to be a good result after this X-rays?
No, I didn't know. I mean, probably the first time I think that's the first time I got hit in the hand, so I wasn't sure. But I just went numb and it hurt. So unfortunately, it's broke. But nothing really we can do now.
How do you just kind of handle what's going to be next for you? Just knowing it's not season ending, but it is going to take some time to let it heal before you can come back.
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. You know, obviously I'll be watching the boys, cheering them on, but other than that, I mean, it's just kind of rest, maybe use it as a mental break, and be ready to go whenever it heals up.
What did you see on the pitch when Can you just talk about the pitch?
Oh, I mean, you just got to stay in there. I mean, you can't be scared, you know. Got to stay in there, and especially with the guy with a pretty good slider. So, yeah, it was just kind of up and in, and I was holding my ground, and unfortunately it hit me in the hand.
Have they given you a general timeline at all?
Not really. I'll go see the doctor tomorrow, and then we'll know more. But right now it's just let it heal.
Is that Shin the hand guy? You know?
Yeah. I'll go see him tomorrow.
Take my hand, Mookie Betts. My heart just sunk when I saw him go down, writhing in pain like that. Got some super chats, got some questions, got some comments over here. Hugh Jassy says, Mookie Betts getting Curry the A blessing. He'll get rest and be ready for the second half. We got Kelly Oshiro. Hey, Dodgers Nation. I'm in Colorado for the games. Excited. Kelly, first of all, thank you again. You're a Dodgers Nation live stream Hall of Famer at this point, giving us $500. Hey, with the way that you roll, I'm pretty sure she took like a private jet to Colorado. They should we let you throw out the first pitch. I'm telling you, that's how they gotta give it to you. But we got Ben Kawucha. Hope Mookie never has to play shortstop again. Norman Rowe. Why wasn't he wearing a hand protector like Ohtani? I wasn't at the game, but I would, if I was in the clubhouse, I would have asked him what are his thoughts on doing that, because you see Mookie doesn't really wear on the Jordan batting glove that he has. He doesn't have the protector that Shohei Ohtani wears. I guarantee you he will be doing that now, because Corey Seager, he did the same thing when he returned from the injury. Now, as far as where the Dodgers sit at that shortstop position, who will play shortstop for the Dodgers? Well, Dave Roberts, he said after the game that Miguel Rojas, who came in for Mookie after the injury, he's going to take over at shortstop with Kike Hernandez spelling him at times. So you're going to have a combination of Miguel Rojas and Kike Hernandez. And Miguel Rojas on the season offensively, one of the big stories has been, yes, Miguel Rojas has absolutely exceeded expectations at the plate during his opportunities. This year, Miggy Rowe hitting 278 with a 122 weighted runs created plus, not striking out a ton. He puts the ball in play, has 3 home runs in 42 at-bats. Last year, he had 5 home runs in 423 at-bats. So it's a healthier Miguel Rojas. It's a better version of Miguel Rojas that we saw last year. But when I saw this, I thought, wait a second, you're going to see the averages go down. You're going to see Miguel Rojas's numbers start to level out and a little negative regression to the mean, because you're going to see Rojas in there against right-handed pitchers. And he's a lot more effective at the plate against lefties than he is righties. And that goes for Kike Hernandez as well. Kike, so far this season, he's been struggling at the plate for most of the year, and against righties he's struggled, but Kike is someone that defensively he can definitely hold it down, especially he's not dealing with that sports hernia. Last year Kike was one of the worst graded defensive shortstops, but this year defensively he's really picked it back up, and I'm not concerned about him defensively. Offensively though, Kike is hitting 203. Okay, Kike has a 70 weighted runs created plus, and both of those players, Miguel Rojas and Kike Hernandez, if you put them in the lineup every single day and you're facing primarily right-handed pitchers, offensively, you're going to see those numbers go down. So far this season, Miguel Rojas against lefties, he has an 856 OPS. That's where he's had most of his success. Against righties, though, Miggy Rowe, a 687 OPS. That's below league average. You look at Kike Hernandez, a 691 OPS versus lefties. That's nothing to write home about, but it's definitely better than his 493 OPS versus righties. So that's what they're dealing with right now. The Dodgers aren't going to panic, okay? They're not going to trade the farm for a shortstop overnight, but thankfully they do have depth to be able to fill in for him, at the very least defensively at the moment. Now, the roster move that they made is they brought up Miguel Vargas, and Miguel Vargas is going to be with the team today against Colorado, and Dave Roberts said that he's going to see time in left field versus left-handed pitching. So that's a very specific role, and if he's starting in left with the Dodgers still having Chris Taylor on the roster, that means that you're probably going to see less Chris Taylor in the lineup as well. If he's not going to factor into the infield, I'm sure you'll see Chris Taylor at third base though, right? So you'll see Chris Taylor at third base, Miguel Vargas in one of the corner outfield spots, mostly left field against left-handed pitching. And so far, Miguel Rojas and Miguel Vargas in a limited number of opportunities this year, 5 for 20, 3 doubles. He's hit a home run, but he just doesn't have that defensive spot on the field that you trust him. And he's had his issues in the outfield. I think as a bat, he can come up and produce, but look, you look at where the Dodgers could go if none of these options work out. Trey Sweeney is down there, and 746 OPS, 10 home runs in 65 games. A lot of those numbers came in that monster week he had in Albuquerque. But Trey Sweeney, let's say that Miguel Rojas, if they want to try to way to preserve him, because that was the reason why Rojas wasn't playing a lot of shortstop, even with Mookie in there, because they want to preserve Miguel Rojas because he's been dealing with body soreness and things like that. He's an older guy to play that shortstop position every day. And if those guys can't hold it down, either you look internally at a Trey Sweeney, which I don't have very high hopes on, but it is an option, or you look externally. We're going to talk about those external options in a second, but that's where they are. You got Miguel Vargas. They call him up. He's back. Question I have, though, the move I would have made, as much as I love Miguel Vargas, the move I would have made, I would have called up Andre Lipsius. I would have brought up Lipsius to see what he could do at this level. A 956 OPS, 17 home runs, 16 doubles. And you look at the lead that you have in the division, right? You are going to win the NL West. Why not bring up Lipsius, see if he can be that guy, at least to a degree, and if he can have success at this level, then you have someone that can impact the lineup, someone that can help you produce runs. Like I said, last 30 games, 11 times they've scored 2 runs or less. That's not getting it done at the plate. And Lipsius is someone that has some positional versatility, and you can play him at third base with Max Muncy out. And if it doesn't work, who cares? You took a flyer on the guy. You can just DFA him. Right? Let him play for a month, see how he performs. If it doesn't work out, you can DFA him. Whereas Miguel Vargas got the options. Young, controllable talent. It's not going anywhere unless you want to trade him. I think Andre Lipsius is the move that I would have made. Thomas Burry, a $5 super chat. You know, I got to show you some love for that. Keeps a Dodger dog of the show right here. Thomas Burry says, trade for Bichette, Mookie to right, platoon Rojas and Lux at second, Hayward and Pages playing in center field, and call up Outman to fill in for Betts. That's a fire take right there. It's a fire take, and I do think that that's one of my big takeaways from the Mookie Betts injury. I think the positives, if you have to frame them, which it's nothing positive about Mookie Betts getting injured, just to make that clear. You lose a top 5 talent, there's nothing good about it. But I do think that this will force the Dodgers' hand potentially in doing what was ultimately best for this team's long-term success, and that is going out there and finding a major league shortstop, finding someone you could trust in the regular season and in the postseason, and you don't have to use players like Miguel Rojas, who, as good as he's been, he is a depth piece. He's a guy that comes off the bench. You could play him at multiple positions in the infield. Kike Hernandez, he's a utility guy. He is not your everyday shortstop. We saw what happened in Boston when they tried to make him their everyday shortstop when Trevor Story was out, right? It didn't work out. So I do think that this will encourage the Dodgers to go out there and explore the possibility of adding a shortstop. So I agree with you there. We got Grizzly _ also $2. Not my Mookie, Doug. Not my Mookie. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. And anytime Mookie Betts goes down, it hurts. He's the heart and soul of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I said a couple months ago, with the marketing and the bobbleheads and the 18 Japanese sponsorships that the Dodgers are getting paid off from now, yes, the Dodgers are Ohtani's organization. They're Ohtani's franchise, but it's still Mookie's team. And it will be for the foreseeable future. And look, he's a Hall of Fame player. And anytime you have a player that really has had an MVP season raw for him, it definitely hurts. But there's that. Like I said, another positive too, it happened in June. It happened in June. If this happens in August, if this happens in September, then I think that it's going to really hurt this Dodgers team's chances in a big way. I think Dodger Stadium would be turning into a Spirit Halloween Superstore a lot earlier if it weren't for the fact that you have 2 months to get him healthy and get him right for the postseason. So the timing works in the Dodgers' favor. And then 3, it wasn't on his right hand. If it was on his right hand, even in June, that could have caused more problems as well. So the fact that it was the left hand, not the right hand, the fact that it was in June, the fact that he's going to get a lot of time to just get right mentally, give his body a break. Like I said, I've been at these games and I've watched Mookie work tirelessly for 3 months. I mean, for 3 hours in 3 months, putting together work on learning the shortstop position for the first time at age 31 at this level. And there's no doubt about it that it was starting to take his toll. We read his numbers in the last 25 games, hitting around 200. That isn't Mookie Betts, right? So I think that's definitely going to be a positive, as well as just getting him right for the postseason. Now, who are the external options? Who are the external options for the Dodgers if you want to look externally? Well, there's names that you've heard again and again on this show. You start with Bo Bichette. Won't beat that to a dead horse, but this year, Bo Bichette just has not had a good season. He's hitting .237, an 80 weighted runs created plus. He's hit just 4 home runs in 66 games, so he's been 20% below league average, and he's someone that's not a rental, right? You would have him for the remainder of this season and all of next season. Defensively, he hasn't been great as well. There's some underlying numbers that indicate that he's due for some positive regression. His BABIP, which is a stat they use to try to make sense of luck, to quantify luck, it's a career low. He has a 275 BABIP, and that's 45 points below his career BABIP average. So the BABIP's low. Also, you look at his StatCast numbers. According to StatCast, he's barreling just 4.7% of the balls that he makes contact with. His previous low was 8.2%, and that was in his rookie season. So 4.7% barrel rate, that's down significantly. And then you look at his hard hit rates at 31.3%. The soft contact rate is a career high 19%. So not barreling up as many balls, not hitting the ball as hard. Soft contact is up as well. So unfortunately, the success just hasn't been there. The positive to that would be that if the Blue Jays definitely want to be sellers, if they want to be sellers, then the positive to that is the price would have to go down just a little bit. I mean, if he was having a typical Bo Bichette level season, then you were looking at a prospect capital cost that would have been extremely high, especially when you look at how teams need shortstops. Shortstops, they don't grow on trees. And you look at the Blue Jays, where they sit right now in their division. They're not going to win the division, but from a wild card standpoint, they're still somewhat in the mix. They're only 4.5 games out, and that definitely could change with a couple weeks of winning baseball. So I wouldn't say they're completely out of it, but they are under 500 at 35 and 36. But, I mean, this is someone who, in his last 5 seasons, he led the sport in hits 2 times. 2 trips to the All-Star game. He finished top 16 in the MVP voting. So anyone out there that thinks that Bo Bichette is washed, I don't think that's the case. I think Bo Bichette is in a bad situation, is not going to re-sign in Toronto. The Dodgers, they have probably already identified things in his swing that they could fix and get back to normal. So, yeah, I think Bo Bichette still would make sense if he was available. It's just, like I said, you can't buy a house that isn't for sale, and that could be the case if you're Andrew Friedman and the Blue Jays. But next one, obviously the best option, the number one option if he was available would be Willy Adames. And I hate to pour cold water on your Willy Adames dream, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think that Willy Adames is not available. And there's a lot of reasons why. One, the Brewers, they're in first place in their division. They are going to win their division by a significant amount. Right now, the Brewers, they're 42-29, 6.5 games up on the St. Louis Cardinals, okay? They're going to win that division. And Willy Adames, he's the heart and soul of that team. And Ken Rosenthal, he said last week about Willy Adames, he said, sure, the team's offense would suffer. Its morale would too. But how exactly are the Brewers going to get through the season with their rotation in such dubious state? You got Woodruff out. You got Wade Miley. They're already out for the year. You got Robert Gasser might soon join them. Both are external free agent additions. Jacob Junis, $7 million, and Joe Ross, $1.75 million, are also on the injured list as well. So what Rosenthal is saying is that even though they're winning right now, he questions whether or not they'll have the starting pitching to do anything in October, right? And if you're the Brewers, Willy Adames is going to expire, right? Willie Adames is going to be a free agent after this year. Might as well try to get the prospects for him now, and then you can start that next wave. That's what the Brewers do. I mean, outside of the Christian Yelich's of the world, they really don't pay guys big time. And the Brewers, they need him. I mean, they just need him. So I still think the Brewers aren't going to trade him. You could slide Joey Ortiz to shortstop, but I just don't think that they're going to do that. But Willie Adames, he would be number one in my book. Not even just for this year, I would extend him. And even if Willie Adames doesn't get traded, I still would try to sign him this offseason. Right now, Willie Adames, an 8 outs above average. That's second to Bobby Wood Jr. The strikeout rate is down 25.9% to 21.7%. The weighted runs created plus up from 94 to 119. Hit 12 home runs in 71 games and 309 plate appearances. That would be my top candidate. We got Abstract says trade the whole farm for Willie Adames. Johnny Owen, Adames is not re-signing with the Brewers. 100%. Willie Adames is going to sign a deal similar to what we saw with Dansby Swanson. Similar to, I don't think he goes as big as Xander Bogaerts or anything like that, but I could absolutely see him signing a 6-year deal under $200 million, 175 to 180, something in that range. Tonio, would you be in on a Willie Adames trade if he was available?
I mean, I guess it depends who you're going to give away. I mean, personally, I'd like to see Miggy Rowe there, even Gavin Lux at second just for a little bit, just to see how it goes. But personally, I wouldn't want to see that right now. I think the cost would be too much, in my opinion.
So Tonio's out. Tony Tater says no to a Willie Adames trade. I just don't think he's going to be available. One player, one shortstop that I think could be readily available. He would not cost a ton. I don't think it would cost a lot of prospects to get this guy. That is Paul DeJong of the Chicago White Sox. This is not a deal that's going to force you to run to the Dodgers top of the deck store to buy his jersey or anything like that. He's not going to break the internet, but Paul DeJong is having a really quality season with the Chicago White Sox. He's slashing 240, 289, 480, has a 115 weighted runs created plus, so he's 15% above league average. The pros on Paul DeJong: plays shortstop, has pop, 14 home runs. His 14 home runs are second for big league shortstops behind Corey Seager. He's going to be a free agent after this season, so he's a rental. We know the Dodgers love adding rentals at the deadline. He hits the ball hard, 75th percentile in barrel rate, 71st percentile in hard hit rate. So whereas Bo Bichette, not barreling up balls, not hitting the ball hard, Paul DeJong is one of the better hitting shortstops in the league this season. Now, the cons of Paul DeJong: the upside isn't where Bo Bichette's is. The upside isn't where Willie Adames's is. He does strike out a lot, 31.4%. That's the highest for qualified shortstops, and a 3.8 walk rate. So he doesn't walk a lot. He strikes out a lot, but he's a big league shortstop, okay? 0 outs above average. Mookie right now, -5 outs above average. His UZR 150, a -7.6. Mookie's is a -34. So defensively, he would be an upgrade to Mookie Betts. Offensively, he'd be an upgrade to Miguel Rojas and Kike Hernandez. So Paul DeJong to me makes sense under one condition. And that condition is he comes attached with a Luis Robert Jr. or a Garrett Crochet. We know the Dodgers like doing deals with multiple players. You saw last year, Lance Lynn, Joe Kelly. We saw Trey Turner, Max Scherzer. They like getting more bang for their buck. And if you really want to go all in, and I think that that's one thing that we are going to learn that comes from this Mookie Betts injury is this team truly all in on 2024? Because that's the number one thing we're going to learn. Are they at the poker table? Are they taking off the Rolex and throwing it in there? Their wife's earrings throwing it in there? The lien on the mortgage in there? Are they pushing all the chips in? Are they going to do that? Are they going to take some money out of the 401k and say, you know what? We want to win in year one with Shohei Ohtani. We want to take advantage of Freddie Freeman's prime. We want to take advantage of Mookie returning from an injury and still being in his prime. We want to take advantage of, quite frankly, what could be the last year of Clayton Kershaw and Tyler Glass now pitching like an ace, and Yamamoto, hopefully he returns, right? That's what we are going to learn, because there's also a world where the Dodgers say, you know what? just had some injuries. Too many injuries this season. Max Muncy goes down. Mookie goes down. Had 7 pitchers already, 7 starters that have missed significant time. Do we just wait until 2025 when Shohei Ohtani is going to be back on the mound and we can use him as a starting pitcher? And we have Betts and Freeman still. But hey, guess what? You might not have Teoscar Hernandez next year. You might not have Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Tyler Glasnow. I mean, we saw how everything can change with just one pitch. So I personally believe the Dodgers still have to be all gas and no brakes this season. You have to be as aggressive as you possibly can be, and you have the prospect capital to get a deal done. I think the big takeaway now with the Yamamoto injury and the Mookie Betts injury is there are no more untouchable prospects for the Dodgers. Love all those guys. They all have a lot of potential, but this Dodgers team needs to win a World Series now with this group. Okay, it can't wait. So if it's a Rushing, if it is a Cartai, if it's a Tyrone Lorenzo, if it's a Josue De Paula, it does not matter. Okay, those guys, they should not buy a house in LA. Okay, you should be renting at this point because you could be getting that call that you're going to get traded because, look, you have to be aggressive. You have to take advantage, parades over prospects. So I think that's my number one thing is we're going to see how aggressive this team is because what has really changed overnight is when we were talking about a trade for a shortstop, that shortstop was going to take the place of possibly a Gavin Lux in the lineup, right? Now it's changed to you're looking for a shortstop to take the place of a Mookie Betts in the lineup for now and defensively as well. So it's the lineup offensively and the glove defensively. So if you're able to add stuff on the margins and swing big, then I think that you could see Mookie Betts and Yoshinobu Yamamoto return to a team that has an improved roster. And I hope that's the case. And I think Luis Robert Jr. still makes a ton of sense. John Heyman listed the Dodgers as one of 6 teams that are interested in him. I think Garrett Crochet of the Chicago White Sox, the prospect capital would be extremely high to get him because Garrett Crochet, you could argue, is one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in Major League Baseball this season. I mean, Garrett Crochet is someone that has that kind of stuff that's going to play up in the postseason. Right now on the year, Crochet, 116 strikeouts in 15 games. That leads baseball. A 12.6 strikeouts per 9. That leads baseball. If Garrett Crochet becomes available, the Dodgers, they have to be one of the teams that's willing to do whatever it takes to try to get him because I think the starting rotation we've seen, we always have the debate, 6-man rotation. We always have the debate, who are they going to be leaving off the postseason roster? And then we saw what happened last year. Lance Lynn, who, by the way, just gave up another home run right now, was your Game 3 starter, right? You just can't have that happen again. Can never have enough starting pitching. Now, as far as Garrett Crochet, he has 2 more years of team control. Next year will be his second arbitration year, then 2026, right? You're probably not going to pay Walker Buehler, right? Hopefully you get Roki Sasaki, but you get Garrett Crochet. Hey, who would you take right now? Garrett Crochet or a Bobby Miller, right? A Garrett Crochet or a Gavin Stone, right? Garrett Crochet is someone who has elite talent. And if you're not going to be able to add an offensive player, you could certainly add another starting pitcher as well. But now we're going to talk about the other big injury, and that is Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, he's going to miss significant time. He was placed on the 15-day IL. On Sunday, he strained his right rotator cuff. Now, I was at the game Tuesday, and I was walking through there. I'm looking down the field, and I see Yamamoto throwing, and I saw a lot of Dodgers brass out there. I saw a lot of people that typically aren't out there to watch him throw, and that told me, I hear the sirens in my head. What the hell is going on to Yoshinobu Yamamoto? Is he injured? Is there something significant? I couldn't help but think of him pumping 97, pumping 98 against the New York Yankees. And if he went a little too hard in that game, and it turns out that the velocity was down significantly. He threw 14 four-seam fastballs in his start against the Royals. 14, averaged 93.1 miles per hour on the heater. That was down 1.5 miles per hour from his season average. Also, it was down significantly from when he was averaging over 97 miles per hour against the Yankees on that same pitch. And if you saw in the dugout, Mark Pryor, after they took out Yamamoto, Pryor comes out of the tunnel. He's talking to Dave Roberts, briefing him on what's going on. And Dave turns, he says, F, not in those words, a family show. Can't say that. But still, Dave was disgusted. He also took his sunflower seeds. He threw them in his mouth really hard and aggressively. And for me, yes, it's rotator cuff. It went from triceps to rotator cuff. And it's definitely something extremely concerning. It just makes you wonder if you can bank on him returning. Do you bank on him returning, or do you go out there and say, you know what, we need to make sure that this rotation is going to be intact one way or the other? If he comes back, great. If he doesn't, we still have him under contract for 12 years. I gave you guys the info on how this impacts his contract, right? Now, he's set to go on that 15-day IL. And if you look at pitchers that have been on that 15-day IL and how it impacts them, well, he's going to miss more than 15 days, right? He's going to miss significant time. Dave Roberts already said it. And the question is, when will he come back? Because I think for me, it's kind of a question of, is he going to be thrusted into a situation where he returns and then he's your game 1 or 2 starter? I think if everything goes right, that is ideal. But I also think that if you're Yamamoto, he's someone that is going to be here for a long time, right? He's someone that is going to be the part of the front of your rotation for a good amount of time, so you don't want to rush him back. And if you look at the history of that injury, if you go to Baseball Prospectus, they have that cool way of showing how long it takes guys to get back from injuries. The shortest time for a player coming back from a rotator cuff strain, the last 4 years, that was Pete Fairbanks. He missed 26 days back in 2021. But every other pitcher, they missed 7 weeks or more. So he's going to be out probably for 6 weeks to 2 months. So he's going to miss significant time in the rotation. The good thing is you have Bobby Miller coming back. You got Clayton Kershaw coming back. But it just kind of makes you a little concerned. But some comments here. We got Don Kim. Would you rather have a DeYoung, Crochet, or Luis Robert or DeYoung? That's $1 million question, Don Kim. I think it comes down to, do you feel like you're going to have the starting pitchers back in time? And do you trust that the Walker Buehlers are going to turn the corner? He's had a home run issue lately. Hasn't looked like prime butane as of yet. It's going to take some time. I still think it's possible. Clayton Kershaw, how much faith do you have in him returning and how he's going to look? Dustin May, Yamamoto, right? Tyler Glasnow is someone who's already on pace to throw more innings and start more games than he ever has throughout his career. So I think that I feel better about the starting pitcher depth than the production, the outfield. And you look at Luis Robert Jr., you would have him for 3 years after this season. So I think Luis Robert Jr. would be my pick on that one, because then you have your center field situation figured out. And the odds of Garrett Crochet, the way he throws, it just takes one pitch for him too, right? I mean, pitchers break. That's what happens. So I would take Luis Robert in that situation. Kelly Oshiro, can you find some positives on Yamamoto, please? And do you think going over 100 pitches, especially when he was throwing so hard, caused it? I don't think that it was probably some compounding of weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, he's been durable. He's thrown, we're talking about someone who threw 138 pitches in the Japan series. But yeah, I do think that his workload has factored into it. In his last 4 starts, he averaged over 102 pitches per start. So yeah, the pitches, it's not just the velocity too, it was the command. I mean, he threw 28 pitches on Saturday, only 14 were for strikes. That's 50%. That's below average. Against the Yankees, he threw 72 strikes on 106 pitches. That was for 68%, right? So the command was off, the velocity was off, and he was pitching on 7 days rest. So 7 days rest coming off that start where he was averaging 97 miles per hour and 96.6 miles per hour on his 2-seam against the Yankees. Yeah, absolutely, it had to have been a factor. There's no doubt about the fact they pushed him back, told you everything you need to know. So I definitely think it's concerning. Look, I talked to some people within the organization. Yeah, it's a concern. Like, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But Next, we're going to shift gears a little bit because we got to talk about these a little bit here. That is the new Dodgers City Connect uniforms. The Dodgers, they unveiled their City Connect uniforms, and it turns out they were the ones that we talked about on this show weeks ago. The leaked version was the real version, but now we can see the full uniform. Now we can see that the top matches the bottom. There were some Photoshops out there that had a navy bottom on these. And now we know a little bit more about the inspiration behind the jersey. And I'm going to get everyone's takes here. Well, so Noel, can't wait to hear what you have to say. We're going to get to you in a minute. I feel like we're going to disagree. I'm going to talk to you, Tony Taters, as well. But I think what a lot of people were first wondering, the first question people had was, okay, what is the meaning of the confetti, of the Pop-Tart? And you guys know my Dream City Connect is one where you have all the decks of Dodger Stadium, right? The blue represents the ocean. The seafoam green represents the trees. The yellow, the sun. I mean, there's all these cool inspirations behind the different colors of the decks at Dodger Stadium. But for the funfetti look, well, let's start with the word mark. So the Los Angeles word mark on them, you can see it right here. A lot of people have been saying it looks like the DirecTV logo, which is hilarious. But it says the typeface is inspired by the LA Memorial Coliseum, our original home in LA, while the contrail and upward trajectory speak to our city's pursuit of the beyond. So that's the best we could do. The LA Memorial Coliseum, it looks like the same lettering as the Detroit City Connect. That's first thing, okay? And then you have the hat. The hat is a combination of the interlocking LA and the Dodgers D. It says a mashup of our iconic LA interlock logo and the swooping D of our logo script combined to form our LAD team code. This, I mean, I don't hate this as much, but I'm not rocking it. Why the hell would anyone rock this when you could just have a iconic LA Dodgers hat with the LA on it? It's not terrible, but there's a lot going on right there. A lot going on right there. The best part, my favorite thing about this jersey is the lower right corner where it says hashtag ITFDB, which of course stands for It's Time for Dodger Baseball. And it says, it's an homage to the greatest broadcaster, the greatest sports broadcaster to ever live in Vin Scully. So I like that part. And then you go to the back of the uniform, and the first thing that stands out is the numbers. Now, I do like these numbers on the back. That's another thing I like about the uniform is it says here about the numbers is from the Dodgers. It's inspired by mid-century typefaces popular during the Dodgers' move to Los Angeles and construction of the stadium. So it definitely captures that era of Dodger baseball. And then the colors. On the colors, it says new take on the traditional Dodger color palette, dusk and electric blue with just a hint of chili red, a nod to the red numbers on our primary uniform. So yes, you have to integrate red. That's what makes the Dodgers uniform special. As far as the dusk goes, you got to give them a little credit for not just going dark and black like a lot of the City Connects. But the thing that everyone is going to talk about with these uniforms, the thing that these uniforms will be remembered for is the fabric. And the explanation for the funfetti, the explanation for the Pop-Tarts is a galaxy of stars rendered in the color palette of Dodger Stadium represents the brilliance and diversity of Los Angeles. So they were on the right track. They were so close, but still it looks like funfetti. I'm surprised the hats didn't have candles on them, and it was just a big birthday cake. It still looks like a Pop-Tart. I can't get past that. And then, of course, the explanation for the undervisor is inspired by the uniform's galaxy fabric. The undervisor celebrates the history and future of Dodger Stadium on the new electric blue. So, look, I just wish that the City Connect uniforms could actually connect to the city. Palm trees, beaches, right? I mean, that's stars, Hollywood stars, right? The City Connect is not Stadium Connect, right? I just don't understand these jerseys. The full jersey hasn't really changed it to me. I still think that People are going to clown these for looking like Pop-Tarts. People are going to still clown these for looking like Funfetti. I think they could have done a lot better. I mean, where's Mr. Cartoon at, right? Where's some of these local guys, local artists that really, I think, understand kind of the essence of Los Angeles versus these? So for me, on a scale of 1 to 10, just because it has the ITFDB on it for Vince Scully, I'm going to give them a 1 out of 10, but that's how I feel about the City Connects. I still think they're the City rejects. I still think that they're going to be in the conversation for the worst City Connect uniforms. And thankfully, having said that though, it's City Connect. It's all fun and games, right? It's not their real uniform, but for me, like Randy Jack said, it's a no for me, dog. But let's first go to Noel. He's our resident fashion guru here. And Noel, I want your take on these jerseys. You like them? Do you love them? What do you rate them on a scale of 1 to 10? Let's hear it, Noel.
First off, Doug, we got to get like a fire extinguisher or something. And you get a fire truck because, bro, you were just cooking these jerseys right now. You went in on them, bro. I tell you, do you listen to everything you said right now? You gave them a 1 out of 10. That is crazy.
I mean, I'm just
crazy.
We're big jersey guys here. We talk about jerseys all the time.
I respect your take. I respect your take a lot. I think the first thing I gotta say is I'm the type of person that when a lot of people don't like something or they're hating on something, I kind of try to start finding reasons why I do like it. And like I tell you, Doug, I feel like this jersey, it's grown on me since we saw the first leaks. And I think the biggest reason why I actually seen them on the players now is because the funfetti isn't as harsh as it was in those leaks when like the camera was right in front of them, right at the store. And you still have the white in the jersey, which is very, very nice. You have the nice "It's Time for Dodgers Baseball" on the bottom. And personally, I really like the hats. I know it's just me. I know a lot of people, LA is a big hat city, so I know that all the fans are going to be really harsh. But if I had to give it an overall rating, I think I'll go with the 6. 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Look, it's fashion. It's all subjective. I respect your opinion, right? I mean, we don't have to agree on fashion things, right? There's no way to prove one way or the other. I think for me, to make these work, at the very least, they should have followed the Dodgers script. I mean, what makes the Dodgers uniform special is their wedding gown white, you have the pop of red with the number, and you have the script that just makes you fall in love, right? And you go to that font that says Los Angeles, is inspired by the LA Coliseum, but for me, it just kind of didn't do it for me. I see a lot of people in the chat saying that it looks like it's still better than the fraud rays, and yes, it absolutely does. There's no doubt about it. Like the Padres one, it looks like a 90s Taco Bell threw up on them. I've said that for a long time, and those I don't know though. I think they're
pretty close.
They're pretty close. I mean,
how about, so obviously last year and like the years before for the City Connects, it was the blue, it was the Los Dodgers. I mean, what do you think about having more blue jerseys, like dominant blue jerseys? Because I honestly really like blue ones. I know it's the spring training stuff and it gives off those vibes, but I do like when the team rolls out, maybe for like the last game of a home series, you can roll them out in a blue jersey. What do you think about blue jerseys in general for the Dodgers?
So in the late 90s, they had this thing called Think Blue Week. And during Think Blue Week, they did wear blue tops. And there was one that was simpler with Gary Sheffield, and it was basically the spring training uniform of it. But then the following year, I remember the Raul Mondesi one, it was pretty extreme. You had the Dodgers hat with a silver bill, and the LA was silver. And then the jersey had piping all around it. It had multi-layers of twill, a lot of stitching. That one kind of fit that late 90s, early 2000s jerseys where guys were going darker. So I'm not totally against it. But I always say this when it comes to the Dodgers uniform. To me, the Dodgers, Cardinals, Yankees, those are the top 3. Maybe throwing the Pirates and the A's for my top 5. But if I'm going to see one Dodgers game, right, and I'm paying to see Dodger Stadium, I want to see Shohei Ohtani in that white, iconic Dodgers uniform. On the road, not against it. It's not bad. I don't hate it. I just don't love it as much as some people do. But Tonio, I want to get your take on the uniforms. What do you rank them out of a 10? Let's go to Tony Taters over here. Oh, we're still on the producer cam. We just got to shift over here. Slide over here.
Yeah, this is all new technology.
Slide.
Someone said the jerseys grew on me like a fun guy.
There you go. There you go.
No, it's all cool. I mean, I think the last time when they first leaked, I thought they looked like you could find them at the San Fernando swap meet. No disrespect to the San Fernando swap meet, but they got a lot of bootleg stuff. And it kind of reminds me of like a Walmart jersey, you know, like, oh, thanks, Grandma. I love the Dodgers, but oof. Like, you're still like, I just want an authentic one. But I was talking to Noel earlier before the show, and he made some good points. And the good points that he had now, they are starting to grow on me, especially seeing the video with Shohei, Will Smith, and Freddie Freeman. But I mean, I'm not all into it, but I'll give it a 5. It used to be a 3 for me, but I'll bump it up to a 5.
Bump it up to, now I feel really bad now, but yeah, I mean, look, you look at the dots. What do the dots represent? How many players the Dodgers have on the IL? I mean, do they represent how many cars in the parking lot? Are they going to start selling Pop-Tarts instead of Dodger dogs? That's what really concerns me, is the DirecTV logo on the Pop-Tart. I just don't love these. I don't think they're going to grow on me. The Dodgers have the best uniform in Major League Baseball. It's as clean as you can get. I just think they could have done better. I don't feel any connection with these. But lastly here, long show on today. Long show. Let's get your takes. I want to hear from you guys down below. We got a super chat from Thomas Burry, $2. Outman, rushing, and knack for Bichette. That's fair. Look, rushing to your number one prospect right at the top, it's possible. It's definitely possible you get a deal done with that package if he was available. Might need to throw in some more, though. We got, this show really took a turn. Swap meet jerseys from Norman Rowe. We got Mike M. Bring Knack up and put Mookie at full-time shortstop, even when Mookie is back. Definitely I'm here for Knack up, man. Knack, someone give you 5 innings, 2-run ball. Steven Chavez, Miggy Rowe has always been the answer at shortstop. If we weren't going to trade for one, the Mookie experiment is over. Should have been always in right field. We got, thanks MLB for saving me money. No CD connects for me. Yeah, I mean, hey, at least Mookie doesn't have to play in these for the debut. I will say that. But lastly here, guys, a long show. Anthony Key, my man, says D-Mac preaching those uniforms are lame. CD connect. Yeah, look, I mean, we'll talk more about them once we see the debut. Okay, just not a fan. But yesterday was Father's Day, and we're going to give you our high five. The high five today. Remember, the Dodgers, they created the high five. Glenn Burke, Dusty Baker. Our top 5 Dodgers, who's your daddy moments. And some honorable mentions. Mookie owns Logan Webb. He's 10 for 29, 2 home runs and 2 RBI in 30 plate appearances. Teoscar Hernandez owns the Yankees. But coming in at number 5, Joe Musgrove. He better have gotten Justin Turner something really nice. A number 1 dad shirt. We got Joe Musgrove and Justin Turner. That's our number 5 Father's Day moment.
Yeah, I don't feel like when he's in the box, I don't feel like he's a huge threat. Out of all the guys in that lineup, I didn't feel like he was a huge threat. I just didn't execute pitches very well. He put some good swings on it.
Turner hits one far. It's tied. Justin Turner homers again.
So there you go. You got to love Justin Turner. And I love how he said that. Oh, when he's in the box, I don't feel like he's a huge threat. Out of all the guys in the lineup, I didn't feel like he was a huge threat. Guess what? JT, 6 for 16, a 14-11 OPS, and 3 home runs against his son, Joe Musgrove. And then number 4, Austin Barnes and Blake Snell. Of course, the game that we all think about of the 2020 World Series, Game 6. Snellzilla was dealing. He had struck out 9 in the first 4 innings. He allowed just 2 singles in the first 2 times through the order. Then the bottom of the 6th, 1 on, 1 out, a 1-1 count, and Austin Barnes, he singles to center. And look, what you love about this is it's Austin Barnes. It's your number 9 hitter, and there's Kevin Cash. Dodgers should have sent Kevin Cash a ring. If they didn't send Kevin Cash a ring, I'm going to be disappointed about that because Snell was dealing. I'll never forget the shot of the Dodgers dugout. They look like, okay, game on. It's time to go and win this thing tonight because he had thrown just 73 pitches. Just 73 pitches with 1 out there in the 6th inning. Kevin Cash comes and gets him, so he doesn't have to face Mookie, Seager, and Justin Turner. And in that same game, Snell had struck out Mookie, Seager, and Justin Turner combined 6 times. So he was absolutely mowing him down. So big shout out to Kevin Cash for being a big part of why the Dodgers were able to win that Game 6. Then coming in at number 2, we're at number 3. Coming at number 3, Brusdar, Gratterall, and Manny Machado. Of course, Game 2, the 2020 NLDS. And this was a game where, okay, the Dodgers, you have to win this game. You don't want to split this and make things interesting. And he ends up, Cody Bellinger ends up robbing Fernando Tatis Jr. And And on the way back, you see Manny Machado. He's chirping at Brusdar Graterol because Brusdar Graterol did something in that game that I've never seen. And that is he threw his glove and then he threw his hat. Okay, when have you ever seen that? And that was so significant because it was the 7th inning. Dodgers were up 4-3, and that would have been a 2-run home run for Fernando Tatis Jr. Would have put the Padres up on the Dodgers late in that game. Brusdar throws his glove, he throws his hat, and Machado's yelling, F you, F you, F you. I'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you. And then Brusdar blows him a kiss. The following inning, he got Machado to ground out. So that's coming at number 3. Number 2, Max Muncy and Madison Bumgarner. This was close to number 1. It was a tough one, but Madison Bumgarner, they get it out of the ocean moment with Max Muncy.
Muncy hits this ball to deep right field. Forget about it. Muncy with a splash hit. And some words for Bumgarner as he rounds the bases.
You know, I hit the ball, and then he yelled at me. He said, don't watch the ball, you run. And then I just responded back, if you don't want me to watch the ball, you can go get it out of the ocean.
This was beautiful. I mean, Madison Bumgarner is always in a bad mood. This is someone that probably yells at his own reflection looking at him in the mirror. This is someone who probably yells at his eggs if they don't run fast enough, okay? And for him to yell at Max Muncy for a home run that he wasn't even pimping was great stuff. But my favorite thing about that, my number 1 favorite thing, is the fact that you have the kayak guy grilling in the bay. I mean, just imagine that. Say, hey, I'm going to go to a game. Where are you going to sit? Behind home plate? We're going to sit top deck? Nah, I'm sitting in my kayak. I'm going to be grilling for the entire game. So that definitely is one of them. Madison Bumgarner, you better have gotten your daddy Max Muncy something really nice. Maybe Max Muncy could have sent Madison Bumgarner some snorkeling gear, some water wings or something like that, so we go get out of the ocean. But that coming in at number 2. And then number 1, I think you guys probably know this one. It's Joe Kelly versus the Trastros. And this was so significant because this was following the news that they had cheated to win the 2017 World Series. And Joe Kelly always wants all the smoke. And I'll never forget Carlos Correa, Bregman, he was thrown inside too. But Carlos Correa and Joe Kelly definitely had some words. And Joe Kelly definitely is a great father, a great proud papa of the Houston Trastros.
And Correa at the plate representing the tying run. And that's over the head of Correa and goes to the backstop. Both runners will advance.
Now the 2-2, Kelly to Correa. Swung on and missed, strike 3.
Astros dugout has something to say to Kelly as he walks back to the Dodger dugout, as Correa also has something to say to Joe Kelly.
So this was legendary. I'll never forget the John Boy breakdown where he's lip reading and he points out that Carlos Correa said, if I hit a homer, I would be running home. Yes, thank you, Carlos Correa. You know how baseball works, okay? I'm so excited. If I had a homer, I would be running home. I guess the teachers weren't lying when they said that cheating doesn't make you smarter, because I just always laugh when he said that. Hey, remember when Carlos Correa says, you struck me out, so what? That's literally the worst thing you could do to a hitter, strike them out. I mean, what's the worst thing you could do, right? Yeah, of course he did. I mean, and then he says, Carlos Correa also says, if things were different, it doesn't, look, that always cracks me up. It's like, hey, if things were different, things would be different, right? I mean, it just didn't make any sense. If you threw a fastball, you'd be fast. I mean, look, Carlos Correa, good for the game, but Joe Kelly definitely owned him. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. A couple walk-off shots here over the 1 hour mark here. We got number 1 Teoscar owning the Yankees, Bronx Bomber, Roy Estrada, Mariachi Joe Baby from Norman Rowe, Z Dodgers fan 18. But the real question is, are they better than the old Los Dodgers jerseys? I think the Los Dodgers jerseys, they were a little too safe. But me personally, I mean, at least they were Dodger blue. At least you had the Los Dodgers. At least the script looked like a Dodgers jersey. You had the red numbers. The sleeves had the spray paint stuff on, which I didn't love, but yeah, no doubt about it. I didn't love them as well. But Mike M says bring that up. But yeah, we got see ya at Coors tonight, Doug Slayton. But that is going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. If you haven't yet subscribed to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, and comment Goat Tawny down below. Thanks, Spooky. Thanks, Don Kim. Look at Don Kim. If things were different, it would be different. Any post-game DMAC, yeah, we'll go live tonight after the show. But that is going to do it for this episode. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue.